Hi, my name is Deb, and I am going to be talking today about the Seneca Falls Convention. The Seneca Falls Convention is considered the first women's rights convention held in the United States. It is also noted as the beginning of the organized women's rights movement. The convention was held in Seneca Falls, New York, on July 19th and 20th of 1848. So let's get a little background of how we got there. During this time, the country was in a big state of reform. There were some changes in the political party. The Free Soil Party was established. The Quaker religion was fracturing into different things, and we've got the Congressional Friends branch, the Quakers, out of that. The anti-slavery movement was in full swing, and many of the women's rights activists were actually came from the anti-slavery movement. As they were examining the rights that they were trying to get for the freedom of slaves and property rights and voting rights, they realized that as women, they didn't even have these rights. So that's kind of where the whole women's right movement grew out of. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott were two main players in the women's right movement at this time, and were the main people at the Seneca Falls Convention. They had originally met in 1840 at the London anti-slavery meeting, when women delegates were denied participation in this event strictly because they were women and were set to the side to just listen and not be able to participate. The women vowed at this time that when they got back to the States, they would have a women's rights convention so that women could be participating in these kind of things that were important to them. It took 8 years before this happened. In 1848 of July, um, probably about 8 days before they had the convention, they realized that this was the time to make it happen. They put an ad in the paper inviting women to attend on the first day and open to men and women on the second day. On the first day, about 100 people showed up. On the second day, it's estimated about 300 people showed up. What Elizabeth Stanton did prior to the convention is she drafted up a Declaration of Sentiments. The Declaration of Sentiments used some of the same wording as the Declaration of Independence. And the reason for this was they wanted to show the connection between how the colonists felt about tyranny of King George, telling them how to live, is the same way that women felt as that men were being tyrants and not accepting them as humans in their own right. The other thing was to show that as Americans, they are guaranteed some natural rights as citizens. So the sentiments didn't just address things, the voting issue, it also talked about land ownership, which women were denied at this time, the right to equal education, the right to have jobs in fields of medicine and law. All those things were closed to women at the time. They were also wanted equal pay for the same jobs that they did, and they wanted to be considered equal to men. During the first day, this was read and was discussed and refined, and it was agreed upon how they would go forward. The next day, they read the Declaration of Sentiments again and had 11 resolutions of how they felt like these issues could be solved. The main thing was is that they felt as women they should be treated equal as men. It was their God-given right that they have equality. The only resolution that was not passed unanimously was the one that stated that women should have the right to vote. At the time, many, including Lucretia Mott herself, felt that this was just pushing the envelope a little too far and would make them not be taken serious, that they were just asking for too much too soon. Stanton appealed to Frederick Douglass, who was a known anti-slavery, outspoken leader, to convince the audience that this just needed to be included. He gave a speech in which he said without the right to vote, they were not going to be guaranteed to get any of the things that they were asking for because they would have no representation. This resolution was finally approved, and though it was not unanimous as the other ones were. At the end of the second session, Lucretia Mott also put forward a 12th resolution, and it stated that for speedy success of their cause, it would depend on zealous and untiring efforts by both men and women. That was included in this Declaration of Sentiments and also approved. In conclusion, I'd like to note that it took over 70 years for women to gain the right to vote in 1920. The only living member that had originally signed the Declaration of Sentiments to survive to see that day was Charlotte Woodward Pierce. She was 92 at the time, and though she had finally won the right to vote, she was too ill to participate. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation and learned just a little bit more about the Seneca Falls Convention. Thanks.